Inter Milan. Last season, they won the Scudetto and Coppa Italia, winning Coppa Italia for the 10th time in their history. They did make it to the semifinals of Supercoppa Italiana and the knockout playoffs of Champions League before falling to the Cinderella story side that is Bodo Glimt. But still, one could say a successful season for Inter. So this leads us to our Geico Feel Good moment presented by Geico. It feels good to Geico. Christian Chivu was feeling good after last season. His first season in charge, very successful for him, Aaron. But what type of challenge lies ahead of him now in his second year?
Christian Chivu has to build on the success of last year. He has to win Serie A again. He has to at least compete for the Cup. And Champions League is the big one. It was embarrassing to go out to Bodo Glimt in the way that they did last year. They cannot do that again. They have to push on further. It has to be building on the success of the domestic cup, domestic league, but they have to do better in Champions League. And I'm a little bit worried because they haven't really invested in the team much. They brought in John Stones, they brought in Ivan Provedel, a goalkeeper or backup goalkeeper, depending on how you want to look at it. But to compete across Serie A, the Coppa Italia, and Champions League, I really don't think they have the depth to do that right now. What
else do you think that they need to add to truly compete in Champions League this year?
Just quality in numbers, honestly. Beyond the first 11, they have probably 2 or 3 really, really good players. But when you go past that, there's not enough quality and depth to compete across 2 or 3 big competitions.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think losing Dumfries is huge.
Massive.
Huge. Even though he was plagued with a lot of injuries last year, I think looking at what he does box to box, the amount of ground he covers and makes up for everybody is going to be very, very difficult to replace. And I remember covering Inter in the Club World Cup and looking at when they played Fluminense, when a team can match them for quality in those wing channels, they struggle.
100%.
So you're doing that while also losing out on Dumfries without a true proper replacement for him. I think that's going to be a struggle. And this is also an older team. I feel like we've said that for the last 3 seasons, truly. But hey, I don't mind it. But I think when, Aaron, to your point, when you're playing across so many different tournaments and you do have the pressure to win out, to do so much better in Champions League, they haven't done enough to replace the amount of quality that they've lost in these players.
Agreed.
Am I right in thinking, though, they were the Italian team that went furthest?
No.
Who went further than
I don't think they were.
Atalanta.
Was it Atalanta?
Atalanta.
It was Atalanta.
Yeah, it was poor by their standards.
Yeah.
But look, it's not going to be easy. Last 6 seasons, Serie A has not been retained by the champions. So it does swap around, that title. It's not a given by any stretch of the imagination. They've got to do something decisive about the goalkeeper position. That's the one position on your pitch where you cannot have uncertainty. Now, I'm not criticising them saying they haven't done it now. Aaron, you said keeper, backup keeper. There's talk about them being interested in Vicario from Tottenham, Rissa from Lens as well. So they have to do that as quickly as possible. But as you say, you can't have uncertainty in your back line. John Stones, I think, is an interesting one to bring in. Christian Chivu said about him, I like his personality, his charisma, but I think he also likes the way he can bring the ball out from the back with his feet. He's somebody who's very, very comfortable on the ball. So that's OK, he's free, but it's an interesting addition as well. It's what else they add. In fact, he spoke today. He said he still thinks that Inter are the team to beat this season, so he's confident going in as the manager of the champions. And he also says, well, we don't have all of the pieces in place yet, which sounded like every single coach in world football right now. As in, I'm on the phone daily to the sporting director.
We're trying.
Exactly to Aaron's point. Get me bodies, get me quality, ASAP. But you would have thought, you're a club of this stature, you are the current champions, domestic double champions, you are an attractive proposition to go and play for. John Stones would not have been short of offers. Not short of offers. Now, he might want something new in his life, something different, but Inter, you know, is a good club, and if he can build on the success of last season, carry that momentum into this season, then they've got more than half a chance.
It'll be huge, and a lot of these players are also coming into their domestic seasons, their club seasons, hopefully getting a high from the World Cup as well. However, as one player that we were just talking about, Marcus Thuram, played just 1 minute in the World Cup.
Registered a single minute in the World Cup.
Do you think that
Did he
that
play
will...
well?
In 1 minute, I don't know you can play good or bad in just a minute. There's not much to say in that.
Step on, do the sign of the cross, and then the whistle blows.
But coming into this season, do you think maybe Darian, this is something that could play in the back of his mind as something to prove that, hey, forget what happened in the summer. This is what I can bring this year.
Yes. Oh, you're a forward. Albeit you want to go and wash away the World Cup where you registered 1 minute and actually make an impression on your club team and show that Friends was missing him in this World Cup, that he could have made a difference. And he clearly potentially wasn't proving that in camp during the World
hard
Cup.
team to break into.
I mean,
let's be fair.
Artist, probably.
He's a quality player. So I think when you're dealing with that and the kind of lack of confidence that can give you, the only way that you can change that is going into the domestic season and doing every single thing you can to put yourself back in that type of quality and that level that we've seen him have, albeit inconsistently with Inter. But he's going to be someone I think that they really need to rely on, because Martinez is also someone that is more of a role player with Argentina. It doesn't get those lucrative minutes that we saw him get years ago. So I think there's a good, healthy pressure on these two to try to carry this team forward.
Thuram also, I'm just thinking another way he could have looked at it. He might have gone there knowing, look, I'm not at their level, these players. I mean, it is a stellar front line. France have so much talent, so much talent. He might have thought, I'm going to watch them in training. I'm going to use this time. I'm going to learn, to make myself better, to make myself a better player, and come away believing that when we come back, because France has a new manager now as well, I'm going to ask questions of the new coach that gets me in that starting lineup. You'll have played with players who aren't in the team, some sort of a bit chippy, sulk, and, you know, I'll show them, or others take a good look and they ask themselves, well, why? What have I got to do?
What can I do
to that? Then what can I do about this?
Not why is this happening to me? What can I do to change this situation?
Yeah.
In your experience, have you seen it go both ways?
Yeah, 100%. I think especially going into how they're going to enter looking at club is going to rely on him. It's an opportunity to take the positive from it and try to wipe all of that away and just improve his game, because 1 minute, that's tough. Even looking at it in that way of I'm going to look to improve, that's tough. I would want to forget about it and move on and just make the biggest impression I can.
Yeah. You talked about the expectations for this Inter side, especially when it comes to Champions League. But let's look at just Serie, because we spoke earlier. You said you see Juventus having a better season this year than they did last year. AC Milan, they're going to have a fire under their butt to make Champions League this year after missing out yet again. How do you see Inter fitting into all of this? Do you see them having maybe more competition this year that'll put even more pressure on them?
I do think there will be more competition in Serie A across the board, but I do still firmly make Inter the favorites. Even though they haven't really strengthened a ton, they're still the best team in the league. And I think with Chivu at the helm, with the leadership that they have, I really do think, especially, they haven't made a ton of signings, but specifically John Stones, I think, will be fantastic for this Inter side. We saw how an older Francesco Acerbi has sat in the middle of this Inter back three and tied them together, been the organizing force. He doesn't really have to sprint 100 miles an hour. He just has to be smart. And John Stones, if we know anything about him, one of the smartest players to play the game, incredible distribution. I think the slightly slower pace of Serie A will really, really suit John Stones. So I do still make Inter the favorites, but I think the competition across the board has gotten stronger, and this will be a really, really interesting season.
Because there was a lot of kind of debate last year as to, like, yes, Inter Milan was leading, but it was a bit debatable because of
the rest of you guys doing?
Because of the competition. So do you feel like that's still
I think
you see that being more elevated?
Inter is probably right around here still, but the rest of them have increased and improved a bit. So I think the competition across the board will be stronger.